Hello, friends and fellow lovers of all things beachy. Welcome to The Beach Speaks, the podcast that shares stories about the beach and our connection to it. I'm your host and beach lover, Paige Friend, helping you reconnect with the beach, return to your soul, and reimagine your life. So grab a cool drink, relax in your beach chair, stick your toes in the sand, and enjoy this episode of The Beach Speaks. Hey, beach lover. My guest today is Dr. Roseanne Perez, a writer, speaker, and mother of four whose greatest passion is helping others rise, especially mothers. For Rosie, the beach is a sacred place of surrender and renewal, a space where she feels closest to God and most aligned with her purpose. She is the author of A Year of Love, 365 Days of Inspiration for Mothers, which is a heartfelt devotional designed to help moms connect with their children one intentional moment at a time. I love conversations like this. Just two beach lovers sharing stories about our favorite beaches, collecting shells, swimming with dolphins, with a sprinkling of love languages and a lot of laughter. A reminder that wherever you are in life, the beach always has something to say. Hey, Rosie, welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad to have you.
It's such a pleasure to be here. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I am so happy that you wanted to talk all things beach with me. I love it when people hear about the podcast and they say, oh my gosh, I love the beach. I'd love to talk about the beach. I could talk about the beach all day. I've always encouraged my listeners, send me a voicemail or send me an email and I'll get you on the show. So thank you so much again for showing up today. I want to first ask the question I ask all my guests. How is the beach speaking to you today?
Wow. First of all, I don't know what I would do without the beach. I absolutely love it. When I was growing up, visiting my family in Puerto Rico, the beach was also very important. That's a place of gathering, of joy. And when I moved to Florida, we have wonderful beaches here in Southwest Florida. My favorite beach is Sanibel. Sanibel Island has the best beaches here.
The shells.
The shells and also the dolphins. The dolphins are not afraid to come to the shore, and they're absolutely beautiful.
Oh, wow. We will definitely talk more about that. I want to go back through the years and have you tell me about where you grew up. What was it like where you grew up? What was your family life like? I mean, where does the beach come into your existence?
Well, I was born and raised in Chicago, and as many know, we don't have any beaches there. So the only beach or anything with a body of water is Lake Michigan. So every time we would go there and have a beautiful time, picnic with the family, just amazing. Just to be able to spend time together and listen to the waves. I have great memories in Chicago. And when I would visit family in Puerto Rico, we also made it very important to visit the beach.
Where in Puerto Rico?
Ponce is kind of central in Puerto Rico, but San Juan is always the most popular to visit.
I was going to ask you if you frequented that beach. I have an episode actually about San Juan. When I was on the swim team in college, we had the bright idea that we would convince our coach we needed a training trip somewhere during January when it was cold and snowy up in New England. And we wanted to do our January 1 week training trip somewhere tropical. She agreed. She said, okay, we can arrange something. We'll go to San Juan. And we were ecstatic. That was really the first time I had visited a tropical beach. I had been to the beaches all up and down the East Coast, and I'd been to beaches in Florida. And I'd visited Chicago And I didn't really think about the lake. You would have waves. It's a huge body of
Oh,
water. What was that like when you were a kid? Was it just a part of what you
I think
did?
it was
You
part
know,
of
how?
growing up and part of
Hmm.
knowing that it's either we're going to get together at someone's house or we're going to go to the beach and barbecue and play with the kids and have lots of fun. But as I grew
Yeah.
older and when I moved to Florida, the beach kind of transferred into something different. Not so much we're going to get together with family now. It's much deeper than that because I guess now that I'm an empty nester, when I go to the beach, I go with my husband and I just love to look at the unknown. Before it was
Hmm.
like, okay, meeting with family, getting together, you don't have time to just sit and ponder on your life. And the beach allows you to
Right.
do that. And it allows you to look at the expanse and say, wow, I am small compared to the unknown that's out there.
Yeah.
I took my kids 10 years ago because I wanted them to know where they came from. Born and raised in
Yeah.
Chicago and then visiting once in a while in Puerto Rico. You don't get that. You get too busy visiting family. So we took them like a couple of years ago so that they could see what the entire island is about. All the little beaches, because some of them are very hidden. They're gems that you just go and you walk, and all of a sudden
Oh,
the beach is there. And it's great because the water is warm and the rocks are humongous and it's just little hidden pathways to get there. It's just amazing, but it's definitely off the shore. It is not anywhere near San Juan where the tourists are. It's on the other side.
well, family really is something I think most of us remember about the beach because
Hmm.
maybe our parents took us when we were kids or we had family nearby. Most everyone I talk to has some kind of memory of being a child and playing at the beach.
Yeah,
When you're a parent and you have the children there, you don't really have a chance to sit back and think about life, ponder existence, look at that expanse and what is out there
exactly.
and what's my life like now? What do I want it to be? How did you get to where you are now at the beach in Florida?
We wanted to make sure that we live closer to the beach when we moved from Chicago to Florida to help my daughter with her allergies. She became
Mm.
allergic to milk, eggs, and grass. The doctor, after trying so many different medications, he said, I think you need to move. I think that's what's going to help your daughter. So when we moved to Florida, I wanted to be closer to the ocean. And
Hmm.
taking her to the beach at first was very painful for her because she had open sores. Her eczema was very bad. But
Oh,
eventually, the water was just healing for her. It was
yeah,
very rewarding for her skin to feel the moisture. The salt at first would hurt her, but then
yeah.
it
It
became
is really
healing.
healing.
Maybe you see her today, she's 28 years old, but you cannot even tell that she went through that traumatic experience. We love to go to the beach. The beach is where we go and just soak it all in, leave everything behind,
Yeah.
and just talk about life.
So you live near Sanibel.
Yes, and it's
Explain to the
mhm.
listener where Sanibel is.
It's Southwest Florida, Fort Myers, Lehigh Acres, Alva, all those locations. It's actually a beautiful island. You can rent bikes. And I love that. When I travel somewhere and I'm at the beach, can I grab a bike and just ride? It's just beautiful
Hmm.
to do that. They have great restaurants and it's just so personal. And the last hurricane really devastated them.
I
A
was
lot
going
of
to ask you about that.
the last time I went, one of the little spots was open, but you can still see the devastation.
Was that Ian that came through?
Yeah.
We're fortunate here in Jacksonville when the weather comes in, it kind of bounces back out into the Gulf Stream.
Mm.
So when Ian got to where we were, yes, we had a lot of wind and rain. I thought the wind would never go away, but we didn't have nearly the damage. It was more like a tropical storm by the time it got to us, but it was what, like a Cat 4? It was huge.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
that's the risk we take to
That's right.
live in these beautiful places.
That's right. You can also tell how resilient the water is
Hmm.
because although we are trying to repair and go back to our normal lives, everything is coming to life at the beach. It's like
Uh-huh.
new, fresh
Yeah.
sand coming in. It's renovating as well.
Right,
Hmm.
right. That
Yeah.
restoration. Yeah.
Which also tells us that we're going to be okay. I feel
Yeah.
like the water just says, you're going to be okay. If I was able to come back, you're going to
Yeah,
be able to come
right.
back from your situation.
I was speaking to my guest, Patrick from Waterlust. They have a clothing company that supports various ocean conservation. And he writes a wonderful newsletter. He just wrote an article about the good news in some areas we thought were gone forever. It's spring now, so we think of that regrowth and regeneration. I was going to ask, so you can ride your bike.
Mm-hmm.
Can you ride horses there? Do you see people in the water?
No.
Okay.
Too bad.
I was just curious about that. Yeah, I guess on the coast, Fort Myers, I guess, would be the beach.
Correct.
Inland, right? Yeah. Okay. But you did say something about swimming with dolphins.
Yes, there's always dolphins in Sanibel, but after the hurricane, I have not seen any, which is sad. Normally, they come up to the shore, like they're just not afraid, which is great.
When was the first time you had an experience like that?
I go to the beach quite often. I see them maybe out of 10 times that I go, I see them 7 times. It's just so beautiful.
We go out at sunrise on the paddle boards. We'll grab a thermos of coffee, and a friend, Josh, who goes out with us, maybe make breakfast burritos. He loves to cook. So we'll have coffee and breakfast, and we'll paddle around. And typically the dolphins will come out and occasionally get somewhat close. But I've never walked out into the ocean and had the opportunity to swim with them, essentially, play with them. Now, the other thing I think about with Sanibel are seashells. So tell me about those.
I mean, there's millions and gazillions probably. And people travel to Sanibel just to pick up the shells and collect them. And they're amazing. They also have a special museum just for the shells. So it's a thing.
It's a thing. Yeah. So I imagine you have jars and jars of shells around the house. I have a lot of shells. I covet the shells that I've collected from the Gulf. They are really extra special. And the ones that I've collected, I have in jars and baskets. I have them arranged according to what beach I had been. And so I can look at them and think, oh, that's where I was. But every once in a while, I get the urge to shell dazzle something. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I don't really want to do that. So I just spread them out, look at them, take a picture, maybe just lay them out on the table for a little while, and then put them away. Have you had any kind of cool project like that you've...
No, I just made frames, like just simple frames that I can put a nice picture and then give it to whomever I was at the beach with. But I have so many shells in my trunk. I have a Jeep. As soon as the kids left the house and I was an empty nester, I'm like, getting rid of the caravan and I'm getting a Jeep. Mm-hmm. So literally my Jeep is ready for the beach any day. I had the cooler in there. I had the bathing suit in there. Anytime I want to ride to the beach, I'm ready to go. So if I have a frustrating day or just a very overwhelming project in my head that's taking over my mind, I just drive to the beach right after work, change, and I just soak it all in, and I feel I'm ready to go for the next challenge.
Tell me about what those challenges are and how the beach helps you get through all of that. You travel around the state quite a bit, it seems.
I do like to travel for work, and I work as workforce development. So I've always been involved in helping people find their purpose in life. Even when I was in public education, trying to build those relationships with kids who did not have that impact in their homes, trying to help them. You are somebody. Let's find out what that is. I've always been able to help all stakeholders, because even parents that were parenting their kids, I've always tried to help them. And now with my new book, I've been able to focus on the mother and try to help them find their niche with their kids, because the world we're living in today is not that easy to connect with kids nowadays when they have instant gratification on social media.
I know. They all want to be YouTubers or influencers, right? I remember Ernie speaking to some kids in high schools about coming to the community college and doing cybersecurity, because he's like, in 2 years, you could really have a good paying job. Oh, no, I'm going to be a YouTuber. I'm going to be famous and all that stuff. So tell me more about the book, and how do you help people find this said purpose?
I was going through a little bit of I don't want to see depression. I've never been through depression or anxiety, because I take that as an opportunity to find my way. Going back to the beach and the waves and how that interlocks with my life, I've always been able to just stay on the shore. I feel safe here, but when you go deeper into the water, for me, is letting God take over that experience in my life and say, you know what, I'm going to give it all to you, and I'm going to do something that I've never done before. That is where the book came from. I was in between jobs trying to find what is next. I'm an empty nester. My husband retired. I'm not ready to retire. How can I spend the rest of my life impacting people? And I found a spreadsheet of over 200 entries of things that I used to do with my kids. And I said, wow, I should do something with a spreadsheet.
Who has time for a spreadsheet?
Yeah, well, so the spreadsheet spans over 15 years. Things that I didn't want to forget. I just put things down. It was just going back to it. I cried and I cried. I said, wow, I did this. I have 4 kids and they're all out of the house now. I was able to go to school, raise my kids, and I did these things to build those relationships with them individually, because all 4 are completely different. So I had to show them my love in a different way based on their love language.
Oh, I love the love languages. Well, while we're on that subject, let's talk about that, because some people might not know what we're talking about. Tell me about the love languages of your kids and how you interpret that.
Right. So,
because I think it's important for a parent to know these things.
It's like my oldest son. He is all about time for him. If I give him an hour of my time where I'm just sitting down and listening to him, I have already filled his bucket. My youngest son loves things. So I would buy him a bag of his favorite snacks. Here you go. And I filled his bucket. Sometimes it's hard to find what fills your child's bucket. But when you find what that is, you have to continue in that path so they can understand that you really value them as an individual person.
Because that's how a person interprets being loved. Right. Acts of service or words of affirmation, or as you said, quality time or gifts. I'm somewhat a physical touch and words of affirmation. They kind of go hand in hand, but I think words of affirmation probably more for me. I mean, you could tell me I'm as good as this slice of bread and it's delicious and I love it, and I'll feast off of that for a month.
Right. Yeah, I'm words of affirmation and physical touch as well, especially with my husband. It's like, I get a hug from him. I'm like, I'm good now.
I have to tell you how Ernie and I met on a website called Meet Mindful. I was on a 30-day free trial, and I just kind of forgot about it until day 29. They send me an email, meet Ernie. I thought, okay, I'll click on his profile. And love languages was one of the first things that he mentioned. I thought, oh my goodness, I have got to talk to this man. So I had to pay for the month just so I could send him a message saying, hey, I didn't really intend on joining this site, but anybody that says anything about their love language has immediately got my attention. So, it's important, I think, to know how you express love to somebody and they in return. So, all right. So now we've got all the love language out of the way. You're standing in the ocean. You're saying, okay, God, I'm surrendering to this. Give me the idea, the inspiration. So then what happened?
Yeah. So then I turned those entries into daily kind of devotionals for mothers. Like, okay, this is what you could do with your child. Here's a Bible verse, and then here's a prayer. That's it. That day is over. And then the next day, I was able to create 365 days of motivation and inspiration for mothers to build relationship with their kids. At any point, they can open the book and say, okay, I'm going to do this, or, ooh, that's a good idea. But I don't have the answers to everything. So that's why I started a monthly virtual mom group. I have like 32 women that get together and we just talk. And if anybody needs prayers, we do prayers. It's a place where they can go and just share what's on their mind. They could be having a tough time with their child, and maybe there's someone in the group that can help motivate them as well. Because it's all about not giving up on our children. We don't have the answers to everything, but we definitely have to find the opinions and solutions from other parents who've been through it.
How long ago did you start this group?
In January. It's fairly fresh. The book was published in November. I did it through Amazon. Had no idea what I was doing. I just went with the flow, and there it is.
We just do it.
Yeah. I mean, if I had a printer to print the books, I would print it myself and just give it away for free.
Yeah. What are some of the topics that moms are talking about right now that are really bothering them or they're struggling with?
The toughest thing is that most of the parents in the group chat, we weren't raised with social media. So we don't know, what do we do with our child that only wants to be on social media, that prefers to be on social media rather than have a conversation with us? And that's that connection piece. And I think that's what mothers forget, that it's not like we cannot do the same thing that our moms or our parents did for us. We have to be intentional about what is it that our child likes to do, and we have to try to tap into that. I have 3 boys and a girl, and my boys were gamers. I mean, I hated games. I don't like anything that has to do with shooting or anything like that, but they love these war games, you know?
Right.
And I'm like,
Mortal
wow.
Kombat.
Yes. I'm like, okay, I hate this so badly. And I'm like, okay, instead of just completely, you're not going to play games, that was not going to be the solution, because I find another way to do it, right? When they're in their friend's house or stuff like that. So sometimes I would just suck it up, sit next to them. And so what is this? What's the point of this game? You know, I would ask dumb questions.
Press Control C, Mom. I know.
And asking those dumb questions would actually get them, wow, my mom actually cares about what I'm doing. So just kind of opening the door and finding those intentional ways to bond with them.
And it is so much about the tech and social media, and especially with girls, that's really a big issue. Comparing and bullying and, you know, all of those things.
Exactly.
You know, when you're of a certain age, you're comparing yourself to your peers anyway. I mean, I would never want to repeat 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Oh my God, those are the worst years.
Worst years ever. And I just can't imagine going through that now with social media. People can say anything they want to because it's not to your face, and sometimes you don't know who it is. My 2 bonus daughters are wonderful mothers that they each have 6th grade girls, and then one has a daughter in the 3rd grade. It's been a struggle with them wanting an iPhone and wanting to text their friends, and the 3rd grader wants to do TikToks.
Wow.
And do you have any suggestions for that sort of thing? What are moms doing today that we didn't have to do when we were moms?
Yeah, I feel like, you know how the current and the waves, and I'm going to relate this back to the beach because I just love the water so much.
Oh, wonderful.
Don't resist what you cannot control. When you go into the water, the waves don't resist the current. They go with it. They flow with it. And parenting is almost like that. And actually life in general is like that. If you know that you cannot fight something, if you cannot fight social media, you have to find a way to be visible and intentional in your child's life so they know that you're there for them, not against them.
Social media literacy, basically. Let them know ahead of time. You may get some people saying not so nice things to you. That doesn't have to mean that it's true.
That's right.
Just be aware of these things. I know you're all about communication with your children, and if you have that communication, then I think if something happens, they'd be more likely to come to you, and you can address it together instead of them sitting in their room thinking, oh my gosh, this is going on. Yeah. I'm just going back to that spreadsheet in 15 years of things.
Yeah.
There must have been a lot of things having to do with the beach on that list, I imagine.
A lot of things. Absolutely a lot of things. Just even driving by the beach at night, which is beautiful, having ice cream or preparing a little freezer with fruits and snacks and just taking it and walking the beach. It's just so essential. I have a water tank, a salt water. That's how much I love the ocean. I have it at home because it's just so beautiful. So even though I'm not at the beach, I have the ocean, you know, it kind of gives me a little perspective. Like you have to take care of it. If you want something to look beautiful and make you feel good, you have to take care of it. Even the fish tank that I have here, all the levels have to be perfect in order for the fish and the corals to survive. It's like building that ecosystem in your house, just like it is in the ocean, and just appreciating nature and life.
I was going to ask you if you've had any issues with red tide where you are, if
No,
they've had any of those algae blooms or anything.
we have not
Oh,
here in
that's good.
Southwest Florida. I even went to
Yeah.
Sarasota Beach. Sarasota has beautiful beaches. Siesta Key there.
Siesta Key.
It's
My gosh,
beautiful.
that sand. Oh my goodness. If you're listening right now and you have not been there and you have the opportunity, please go.
And the
Probably.
town is just beautiful. Places to eat
Yeah.
and just walk around, places to shop, get your massage, and then
Yeah.
go to the beach.
I'm not sure if it was Siesta Key. It was one of the beaches there in Sarasota. Long ago, it seems like in another lifetime, I did triathlons and I signed up for this triathlon. They call it the Olympic
Hmm.
level. I mean, it just meant that it was longer. You had a 3/4 mile swim in the ocean and a 26-mile bike
Hmm.
ride and a 10K run, so 6 miles. I was doing okay through the whole thing, just kind of plugging away. And then it got to the run. The run started on the street, on the sidewalk, and then it took a sharp turn and it took you straight to the beach. I thought, no way am I going to have to run on this sand.
Wow.
The very last part was having to run from the shore up to the dunes
Hmm.
and the walkway.
Hmm.
It was all that soft sand. I was trying to run on that and I thought, I am going to die. I think that was probably one time that I was cursing the beach, like, you are out to get me right now. And I misplacing by something like 20 seconds or less. Maybe it was 15 seconds. It was so close. And I thought, I need to do this all over again because I'm going to do that run on the beach a lot better. That was what killed me. So now your kids live
In Orlando.
in the Kissimmee area,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, Orlando
Yeah.
area. So there's no beach there. You would
Yeah.
have to go an hour. Well, it's not that bad. Look, when you have to go to the
Yes.
beach, I'm like, let's go.
When I lived in Orlando, I lived on the east side, fairly close to the beach line.
Mm.
And I would hop on that, and it was a straight shot to the beach. It took me maybe 50 minutes, maybe less if I really hauled it down there. And then you're at the beach, like you said, when you got to get there,
Yeah.
there is a way to get
There
there.
is a
Yeah.
way.
So you travel to see your kids in Orlando,
Hmm.
and then you come up here close to us and in the Gainesville area.
Yeah, I go there once a month to
Uh-huh.
meet our team at the university
Yeah.
there.
Doing the workforce thing.
Yeah, I love it. Now I'm helping people find jobs, especially in this semiconductor slash AI world that we're living. So
Tell me a little bit
amazing.
more about that.
Semiconductors are basically everything that you can imagine that powers the microwave, medical devices, your phones, everything has a chip in it. And people don't realize
Yeah.
that more than 80% of the work is done offshore. So we're trying to bring that back into the United States. And Florida is a big player in advanced packaging and manufacturing.
That's something that people don't realize here in Florida. Ernie would say, guess what the number one industry is in Florida? People always think number one is tourism,
Hmm.
but it's
Yeah,
manufacturing. And who knew?
that's right. I didn't even know that.
I didn't know. I know that now.
Yeah.
You are doing a wonderful service to our young people in many ways and helping out the moms with your book. Are you doing anything
Thank you.
else outside of that?
Well, I'm trying to enjoy my husband now that we've 30 years married. I
Yeah.
was going to tell you that the night we went for our first, we were heading towards Lake Michigan, and the moon turned orange and
Oh,
red and white as we were walking towards the beach there. Lake Michigan has a small little beach.
oh,
And I was 15 years old, by the way. Very young. I got married at 18.
my, oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So that was a
It
sign.
was it was in the stars. It was in the
Yeah.
moon. The beach knew. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. Oh my gosh.
And I just turned into a grandmother, so I'm super excited.
Oh,
Thank you.
congratulations. That is a fun stage to be in because you can play with your grandchildren and
Yeah.
watch them for a while, but then, okay,
Yeah.
here you go. Hand them back. Bye. We've had our fun. I don't know if Ernie would want me to say this, but his nickname has always been Pappy. But the two youngest ones now call him Happy.
No.
So it's Happy, Happy, Happy. I think that's what we're going to start calling him now.
That is cute.
Well, Rosie, thank you so much for coming on and having a chat with me.
we will meet in person, I'm sure.
Absolutely. It was an honor.
Soon and hang out. Oh,
Honored
well,
to be
thank
here.
you. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. And the beach is speaking. Are you listening?
What is the beach saying to you today? Are you reminded of a favorite childhood memory, a shell collecting adventure, or how the sound of the waves help you tackle life's challenges? I would love to hear about it. Reach out to me just like Rosie did, and let's get the conversation started. You'll find links to my email and voicemail in the show notes. Leave a review if you love the show, and keep listening to what the beach has to say. You never know what waves of inspiration might roll in. The beach is always speaking. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Beach Speaks. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the beachy vibes and share it with a friend. Because, let's be honest, who doesn't want more beach in their lives? And if more beach is what you crave, go to thebeachspeaks.com and sign up for my newsletter. It's an easy way to stay in the know, collect some tips and travel hacks for your next beach adventure, and find out what I'm doing at the beach. The beach is speaking. Are you listening?